What's up, everybody? Sorry, y'all. I'm just doing something real quick while there ain't nobody in here. The shit is that? It's a beautiful day out, y'all. Like 2 more days, it's gonna start raining. So I figured I'd go out and do a night of camping before I have to sit at home and wait till it dries out some. It actually rained yesterday for a little bit, but not enough to really make a bit too much of a difference. It made the grass more damp than what I'd like it to be walking through it, but the water wasn't up where I was sloshing around in it. Got a little bit of mud on the very bottom of my sweatpants, but that was about it. Other than that, just the only thing that's annoying is the tall grass that's up to my head. I didn't even think weeds grew that high. Them some bitches get about 8 feet tall in the middle of summer, and they're right now about 4 or 5 feet tall. So I'm just now starting to have issues walking to where I'm at. Well, I actually always have problems because it's just you got to walk through multiple environments to get to where I'm at. But I have privacy out here. I don't get bothered by anybody, and I love this spot. Actually, it's a really, really nice spot to chill. I just wish it was closer, that's all. But it seems like the farther things are away, or if it's hard to get to where you're at, then it's harder for somebody to find your spot. But I enjoy coming out here and try to come out once. I try to come out twice a week in the summertime, and then once a week in the winter. Wintertime's a whole nother ball game camping out here. My hat goes off to the people that are homeless. They have to do it full time. They have no other choice but to live out here in this kind of an environment. I have a lot of respect for those people because I was one of them at one point. But yes, this spot here I found is pretty nice. A little bit muggy today because it rained yesterday, but that's not really that bad back here. But I just got done doing my shelter about a half hour ago, so the real work's about to begin, going to getting all the firewood. Damn firewood's a pain in the ass, man. Wintertime, I'll spend, I'd say 3/4 of the day just getting firewood and breaking it up and cutting it up and getting everything ready for the nighttime. Because when that temperature drops down to the single digits, you better have a real good supply of firewood, because if not, you're gonna freeze your ass off. Put a piece of cardboard on your chair, bring out a sleeping bag, sit on your sleeping bag, and then once you want to relax a little bit, you can eat your. If you don't have your cot, just fall asleep in your chair like I usually do. This cot I have now is better than the one I have that's at home, because this one here keeps you off the ground a good 1.5 feet, 2 feet. So little one I have at home might keep you off the ground about 5 inches. So that cold snow, you can feel it transfer into your body. Unless you get like a mat, special mat that separates you from the coldness. They got them special blankets and shit that are made out of a certain material, and I think they have mats that are like that too, to keep you from getting the cold. Because once your cold starts soaking into your bones, it's hard to get comfortable. But summertime, I love camping in the summertime. It's funny, I haven't camped at a campground, and I can't remember the last time I went to a campground and camp. I always do this kind of stealth camping shit. I kind of like the rush you get from stealth camping, because you're not really supposed to be back camping, especially where you're at. But there's a lot of spots out there that you wouldn't think you'd even be able to get to. But this spot here, I was real persistent and stubborn to get me out to where I'm at. But like I say, I'm happy to have this spot I can go to and get away from everything. Usually throughout the night, I blow off fireworks and Don't ever have any issues. I've ran into a couple people out here, but that was where I was camping was kind of out in the open. I didn't realize how much it was out in the open until I got a feel for this whole entire place. I walked around. There's certain areas still I haven't been out in, but I'll eventually get there and camp. What's up, spider ants? Doc. Oh, damn that thing. How's everybody doing today? Hoping everybody's having a blessed day, enjoying the weather. Things like mid 80s right here where I'm at. I should have camped down by the river and go play in the water, but I'm waiting until the 4th of July to go down there and I'll go camp at this one spot. There's not a whole lot of firewood, so I don't go out there that often, but usually in the 4th of July I go down there. That way I can cool off in the water when I'm in between getting firewood and blowing off fireworks. I already got my fireworks for the 4th of July. They had a special in the store that I usually go to every year. It's a buy one, get two free of everything. So I go in there and things I usually buy one of, I ended up getting three, which is cool. And I spent $60 and got like $220 for shit. I don't buy nothing. I mean, I used to spend a lot of money on fireworks every year. And there was no special where I was going to. They were just like you paid full price, and there was no buy one get one free or two free, especially two free. That's a lot of free fireworks. I like making my homemade ones, but it takes about an hour to make four of them. And so I usually come out here with about four boom booms and yeah, I was out here. I forget what day it was. About a week ago. I think it was four of the boom booms, and then I had about a tube with two mortar shells. I think it's called the Atom Bomb Mini Cannon or some shit. There ain't nothing mini about it. Some bitch is badass for $30. You get like six shells. I'm doing very very good. Pumpkin container. I love people's names they get on YouTube. Mine wasn't always camping with Keith. I just kind of changed it too. That's what I normally do is just go camping. The goat. Hell yeah. Welcome, Mr. Goat or Mrs. Goat. I can't see your picture. These fucking glasses, man. I can see fine far away, but with these glasses on, I can't see shit up close. Wish they had glasses that did both. I think they're bifocals, but I don't want bifocals. I'd rather just have regular glasses. Yeah, bringing my sweatpants when I walk out here. It's freaking weeds are up to my chest, and some are up to my head already, and they're just soaking wet with dew. So, started wearing sweatpants when I come out here just so I don't get my everything soaked from the waist down. I wait till about 9, or I'm sorry, probably about 11 or 12, and it usually cuts down the condensation on my drawers. There's a state park in the area, and there's a plot of land next to it that nobody ever goes to. So I just kind of like when I used to live around this area, would come back here and chill, and now I just come out here and hang out whenever I get the chance. Been coming back here since 2008. That's a long time, almost 20 years. I'm not homeless, so that's another question people ask me. Are you homeless? It's like, no. There's plenty of people out there that are homeless that they start YouTube channels, and a lot of people watch them. I never even thought, well, back then I didn't have a smartphone. Yeah, I did. I had a smartphone. I was going to say when I was homeless, I didn't have a smartphone, but yeah, I did. Because I watched a lot of music videos and shit. That's what kind of kept me sane, just listening to music. Kept my mind off of shit. Away from me, fucker. Never thought I'd end up coming back here. I just ended up having some assholes for neighbors, and to get away from them, I just started coming out here so I'd have at least one night of peace and quiet. Yeah, I guess I don't look homeless except when you see me carrying all my gear. I've had people stop me and give me money. In the wintertime, went to McDonald's. It's right across the street from where I kind of walk into the woods. So I stopped by there to get a couple of McGriddles, and I got two McGriddles, and I was getting ready to leave, and I heard somebody. They're like, "Hey, buddy, can you come here a minute?" And I'm like, "Oh shit, what's this guy want?" So I walked up to the car, and the guy's like, "Here, man, I just want to give you a little something to help you get out." And I'm like, I kept trying to tell him I'm not homeless, but every time I said he would cut me off after that. He's like, "No, dude." And I'm like, "But I'm," and he's like, "No, I don't want to hear nothing. Just take the money and go get yourself something warm to get some coffee, man." It's like, "Oh, I really appreciate that, buddy. Thanks." I mean, I said thank you. It's after he just kind of insisted on me taking the money. But that was one time. I guess I looked a little scraggly. I guess if it's the middle of winter, I don't care what I look like. I got to dress warm. I will layer up. Look like Paul Bunyan. Be bundled head to toe. You still get cold out here. Man, I gotta do something about this chair. It wants to roll backwards now. Son of a bitch. A lot of bricks. Man, there's so many bricks out here. It's unbelievable. I wish I could get a hustle where people want to buy some bricks. So I got some hook up on some vintage bricks, yo. Excellent condition. I'm gonna break my ankles one of these times out here walking around. It's not even funny to joke around about that shit because half the time I do stumble over bricks, and it's always bricks that I'm tripping on. Or my feet get hung up on roots or vines, and I go to step forward, and my leg don't go forward, and I fall flat on my ass. I've did that quite a few times too. Got cut pretty bad out here. I've had to needed stitches, but I didn't want to leave, so I just used super glue to close the wound up. So I did that about 2 or 3 times. That's cool, bro. Appreciate you tuning in, man. Yeah, it's I don't even know what time it is. Probably around 12 o'clock. Yeah, it's probably about 12 o'clock. I haven't looked at the phone, but yeah, it's about noon where I'm at. So yeah, if it's 3 a.m., you're on the other side of the world or somewhere. That's a nice bit of a distance. Yeah, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate the views. Usually go late. I go not live around 9ish. I just was chilling for a minute. Figured I'd say hi to everybody. But if I don't see you again, man, take it easy, stay blessed, and have a wonderful night, I guess, to you. You have a sub. And I love these hot, I don't like hot days, but I like warm days where it's just comfortable enough to take your shirt off and just chill. Throw some bug spray on if you're in the middle of the freaking woods. Trust me on that. Mosquitoes eat you up alive out here where I'm at. I've had problems with ticks this summer. I've never had issues with ticks. I'll find little ones here and there. Must crawl up my boot or something and start crawling up my pant leg. Because I've never found any on my skin. It's always like on a pant leg or something. What's up, Kevin? Out here chilling. I got my shelter set up. I'm going to start getting wood here in a little bit. It's going to rain here in like a day or two, so I want to get out here before it started raining, because once it gets wet, I can't get out to this spot. Then the other woods I walk into where I used to camp all the time, there's a homeless person living there. So I try not to stay in their area or somewhere they can hear me, especially when I'm lighting off my homemade fireworks at night. There was a truck bed that was in the middle of nowhere. And this thing, I don't even know how long it's been here. Since I've been coming out here, it was always propped up against a tree. And I was leaving this, it was the last time I left. And I'm like, it's a landmark. And when I see that, I know I got to walk to the left. And I didn't see the landmark. I'm like, what the hell? And I'm walking around looking, and I find all this brush that had been laying down flat. And the homeless person drug the truck bed over to where he's at. So he's probably using it as a ceiling or something. I didn't know how in the hell they drug it out here to begin with, because it had to be more than one person to drag that truck bed all the way out in the middle of nowhere. And there was nothing wrong with it. So that's another thing. I don't understand why somebody would drag it out here, and if there's nothing wrong with it, I'd put it on a truck or sell it. Man, I don't know about the road back here. This place is fuck. Why they had to get out here some way to drive or to get rid of all these bricks and cement and shit that is like everywhere out here. So yeah, there had to be a road to get out of here to dump this shit for sure. And a lot of these bricks are in good condition. They're just, I don't know, they just must not have had nowhere to put them and just decided to just dump them. Waste of taxpayers' money, if you ask me, because most likely the taxpayers paid for all these bricks out here. I want to hide the evidence. One buddy looked up this place online to see who owns it, and some place up in Cleveland does own this property, and it is for sale for like $100,000. But the amount of work they'd have to put into this to make it usable, I could just imagine the fees it would cost to dig up all this shit and then dump it properly. I mean, bricks don't do nothing to the environment. They're not bad for the environment, but they're just a fucking trip hazard. I can break my ankle in these times out here. Yeah, I'd like to see what was out here before. Because I would think if they sell the property, they would have to dig up what is here before they could, get it ready for anything else. Especially, it's supposed to be zoned for like commercial factory use. It's because I was like, man, $100,000 for almost 16 acres. I would love to have like that much, land that I could just do whatever I want with. Because that's enough. I could camp in multiple spots throughout. I mean, hell, until I died. I guess I'd come back out in the woods, and so I can only imagine what was out here to begin with. But it just seems like nature's slowly but surely taking everything back. Which that's what I like to see. I like to see nature kind of bounce back, like give a big middle finger to humans, like fuck you, this is my shit. Because most of the trees out here aren't huge. There's a few out here that are big as hell, but there's not a bunch. So it's probably all like kind of newer vegetation, and the trees out here aren't like big oak trees, or they're at the wood. When it dies, it's real light. It's not a real dense wood. See, when I was coming out here in 2008 to get away from my sister and my nephew arguing all the time, I didn't remember all these trees, and most likely back then they were probably saplings that I wouldn't. That's why I didn't recognize this place. I was walking around and looking for this landmark and that landmark. I couldn't find anything. I eventually found my dude's chicken coop. He had a chicken coop out here, and I found chicken wire, and I was kind of prying around, and picked up this one board, and you could see that it was an old part of the chicken coop. So shit, everybody used to come when I was living next door. People would come back here, and they'd come out of the woods with like scrap metal all the time. Like see people drag a car hood out of here, and it's like, where the hell did that come from? So there's a lot of metal out here too. If you had the ability to dig it up. But yeah, there's a lot of shit back here that they would have to get rid of, I think, before they could sell the property, and that might exceed the value of the property just to properly get rid of everything. Because I can't, you can only see part of what's out here. The rest is underground or under the dirt. Like my fire pit, I have no clue what this thing is. It's cool as hell. I've never found anything out here like it. It's not a regular barrel because the thickness is too thick on the sides of it. Hell, that's almost a half inch to a 3/8 of an inch thick steel. So I don't know what the hell that is. It just when I first seen it, I'm like, man, I could really make a good fire pit out of that. Blocks the smoke or blocks the wind from blowing the smoke right in my face. It goes up high enough so now it just goes over my head, which is cool. And I had the backside of my axe. I was beating down all the sharp pieces of steel that's around because that stuff. I've cut myself on the steel out here, and it's like razors. I would think after so much time being exposed to the elements, it would dull itself and wouldn't be sharp. But no, it's some of this metal out here is as sharp as a razor, and all that rusty shit, you could have to get a tetanus shot, where it'd be probably advised. I think I looked up tetanus one time. It's nothing you want to get, that's for sure. I think it affects your brain. I hope nobody ever buys this property. I mean, nothing, I've learned over time, nothing lasts forever. Just, it don't matter where you're going or what you're doing, just nothing lasts forever. So I always like look now at things like everything's in the moment. Like you never know if you're going to be around tomorrow. So it's nice just to kind of let your soul recharge and shit. There's people that don't even like have never been exposed to camping or doing anything in the outdoors. And you take them outside and just, what the fuck is that? Oh, some idiot in a car. Why would you want to drive around with your car sounding like that? Backfiring like you got a fucking gun. Oh, check out my car. It's annoying. Ain't it cool? I had a stereo in my one car. I ain't gonna lie. I had two 15s in the trunk. So I was an annoying little prick at one point in time myself. But after somebody broke in and stole my shit, they broke in my car like 3 times total. I'm glad I had the first time I didn't have my alarm and I just had bought these 12s the day before. Alpine 12s, they sounded so crisp and so fresh. And I had a decent amp and shit. And I mounted the amp on the side of the box, just threw it in my trunk, and it was like I only had it out there that night. I wasn't booming it either. I didn't test it at my house because I wouldn't do that. I was like, fuck, I'm gonna drive up the road and test it. But I thought I heard a crash. My girl had spent the night, and I thought I heard a crash. I even sat up, like, what the fuck was that? And I didn't even think to go look outside. And it was like the next morning, my mom comes in. She goes, "Hey Keith, your car door's open." I'm like, "What?" And she's like, "Yeah, your passenger side door's open." I'm like, "Oh hell no!" I'm like, You didn't even do anything on my passenger side." I'm like, just shaking my head as I'm walking out. And I go out there, and the box of the 12s is gone. It's like, son of a bitch. And I heard the place that I bought the speakers from, they were shady, and they were people that were working there, and they were because when you bought the shit, they'd want your personal information, like your address, and I don't even know why in the hell they'd want your address. Nowadays, it's because they want to send you shit. But I think back then that whoever was working there used my address and went there that night, or somebody that works there, because I just thought it was really odd that the night that I put these speakers in and I wasn't booming around the neighborhood to draw attention, that somebody just happened to know breaking my car. So I had my alarm hooked up the next day. I was like, man, I don't know why I didn't have my alarm hooked up that night. It was just I was had so much. I had to wire the hot wire from the battery all the way to the trunk and hide that, and then it was like, so there was a couple other things that I had to do to get, or not. I didn't have to do that with the alarm. The alarm was wired up front. It was just an alarm that would go off if the doors opened up. That night when my sister, I'm sitting there sleeping, and I got my window open. Now my car is parked. I could reach out my window and touch my car. It's just parked right at the side of the house, and I'm dead asleep. And my sister shakes me. She goes, "Keith." I'm like, "What?" And she goes, "Somebody's underneath your car." I'm like, "What?" She goes, "Somebody's underneath your car, Keith." I'm like, "What?" I sat up and I yelled, "What the fuck?" And I get up and I run outside, and my fucking driver's side door is hanging wide open. It is pouring, and this dude left his bike right there. Took off running. He didn't grab his bike. He just left. He just ran. So I run inside, wake my stepdad up. We hop in the car, and we start driving around, just trying to find somebody. It's like, and then I looked at my stepdad. I'm like, we're gonna end up beating up somebody that didn't even have nothing to do with this shit. But yeah, as soon as I yelled, "What the fuck?" he must have heard me, and I just sat up and ran outside. But yeah, the door's hanging wide open. And what he did was I had a $15 EQ hooked up to my amp just to get a little extra boost, and I had that inside my glove box. Now there's a $15 amp EQ. It was almost worthless. And he pushed in my glove box and shattered the front of it so he could open the box. And that's the only thing he got was that little $15 EQ. Probably about like $300 worth of damage to my glove box because it was an SS Monte Carlo. Unless I could get the parts at a junkyard to get like authentic pieces, it's gonna probably be more than $100 or 200. So it's like these people, like I just learned, are pieces of shit. They don't respect anything anybody has. I've had to work for everything I've got. I've never had anything handed to me. My parents never bought me a car. I straight out of high school, at like 18 years old, I had got offered a job as a delivery guy for a water company. You know, I'm thankful. Right out of high school, I had to learn. I learned responsibilities. I didn't have time to goof off all summer like I thought I would. It just the job fell in my lap. I'm like, yeah, fuck, I'll do it. And I showed up and I just started working full time as a delivery guy. But I was delivering 200-pound water softeners, and I got like buff. I was strong as hell, but man, that fucked my back up doing that shit because I didn't have no strap, no protective back brace, nothing like that was used. You just grab these 200-pound tanks and you carry them in, just holding, using your arms and shit and your shoulder strength. Customers don't want water on their floors, so they'd be real picky about, because we deliver it all to the rich neighborhoods. Ain't no poor people who can afford that water treatment shit. So anybody with money, that's where we seem to deliver that stuff to. But yeah, if you were lucky, you could bring a dolly in. But a lot of these people would bitch about bringing a dolly in with leaving tire tracks. You're not leaving tire tracks, especially if the dolly is clean. So that was a rough job, but I worked there for 3.5 years. Then I went to start working at a steel company as a craneman's helper. By the next day, the craneman had quit his job, and they offered me the job as the crane man. And I was like, "Oh, you got to be kidding me!" Like my dream came true. But this place was the most dangerous fucking place to work. I had my thumb crushed and almost ripped off. And they were like, "We'll pay your bills. We'll pay your bills. I mean, just don't file workman's comp. That's what we begging you. We just opened this company. We don't want a bunch of attention drawn to us. We'll start having issues with OSHA, and we don't want that. Just please don't file workman's comp." And I was young and dumb, and I didn't do it. And it's like I came back to work the next day, and I mean, wasn't thinking there's no way I'm gonna be able to do my job. I was so dead set on going to work, and I showed up and I started working it, and the pain was so bad, my hand was just violently shaking. And so I went told the guy, the main supervisor, which actually was part of the board. I told him, I was like, man, my hand is shaking violently, and I'm like, they gave me medicine for pain. I said, but I don't take that kind of shit. And I said, so I'm just like, I think I'm gonna go home. I came back about 2 weeks later, and somebody pulled me to the side and they asked me if I filed workman's comp, and I said no, I didn't file workman's comp. And it's like, you should have. They go, there's about 15 guys out here that have been hurt recently, and they've told everybody the same thing: don't file workman's comp. So that's when I realized this place don't give a fuck about its employees. So they put my life on the line in two or three situations. One where the guy called off that was my helper, and I needed him on the ground to read the scales of what I was weighing up. And he didn't show up, and they told me, can you tie a rope to your ankle and just kind of lean out as far as you can? I'm like, out of my crane that's fucking 30 feet up in the air? I'm like, I ain't leaning out into my crane and tying a rope to my ankle. You're fucking insane. I quit that night. They called me the next day begging me, gave me a raise. So I come back, same shit. They wanted me climbing this pit, a slag pit, and there was no oxygen down there because it was always hot. It was like flames and shit. So they wanted me to put on this protective suit, and they said, we'll pump oxygen down in the pit for you. I'm like, nope. I'm like, there's no, I'm done with this shit, man. I'm quitting this time. And they did the same shit. Wanted me to come back, gave me a raise. And after the third incident, it was when he wanted me to ram there was a slag bucket. And at the very end, the bottom of it, there was a bunch of slag that got collected. And he wanted me to take and ram that fucking thing into the side of the building as hard as I can. And that meant I had to take this crane and slam it into the side of the building as hard as I can too. I was scared to death that I was going to either fall out of the crane, like it fall off its tracks or some shit, or something. I was going to blast that damn slag pit through the side of your building. And I told him, I was like, I don't want to do this shit. I'm like, I feel uncomfortable, and I just don't want to mess something up. And he's like, oh, I don't care what you do, just do it, man. I don't care if you break something. Like, no, I just don't feel comfortable, dude. I mean, at that point in time, I just said, fuck it. I went back to that place I used to work, delivering water softeners and shit. So I ain't risking my life for that crap. But that was the coolest job I ever had. I learned how to use a bobcat, three different types of tow motors, and drive the overhead crane where you were up top. Not you weren't controlling it from down on the floor. Just looking down on top of everything, transferring pots of metal and stuff that was just molten bright red. It was the best job I did, just I guess I'd ever had. They loved because I cleaned up the scrap yard, the scrap area that I was working in. Because if I didn't have nothing to do, I'd break out the broom, say fucking just sweep the floor. And they kept taking people that they were showcasing the plant off to. They would start off in the scrap bay. And they even told me, like, usually that's the part of the building we keep hidden because that's just a bunch of shit here and a bunch of shit there. But I organized it all, had it nice and swept clean, and I was young and just fucking just full of all kinds of vigor and energy. As most of my jobs doing, I had to do after that were just manual labor, back breaking, roofing. I did carpet installation for way too many years, probably like 8 to 12 years. I can't even remember when I started doing that shit. Yeah, it was like I did a lot of different jobs. I worked as a plumber. I graduated from high school at the top of my class as a welder. So I got around and got to experience a lot of different things. And I ended up, I think the last job I ever had doing like was on like a on the books kind of thing where you clock in and shit was a dry cleaning, working at a press. They loved me because I kept quiet. I kept to myself. I'd come in, clock in, go to work, get my shit done. No questions asked. They didn't have to ever ask me to redo shit. So they always told me, you're making more than everybody else doing this work here. Don't ever tell anybody what you make. And I was like, oh, I never would. I mean, I already know better than that. But then I started thinking, I'm like, man, I don't like when I get put in a spot when the owners don't tell anybody this, don't tell anybody that, because then I feel like, what happens if somebody does find out and then look at me like, why didn't you say something? Well, that. So it's, I don't know. I just always had no problems if I kept my mouth shut. Just came to work and did my job. And I always liked jobs where I just came in and clocked in and was just left alone. It was like I was independent enough to do whatever I had to do, and I didn't have to be told what to do. And so I guess my life has been. not full of adventures, but I've got to experience different aspects of life, or I don't know the right word, close to aspect, but life's just fast. When you get older, you start seeing how fast really things are, and it's just sometimes you're just like slow down a little bit. Holy shit! I learned just spend as much time as you can with your family and friends. I mean, it's a tough one. I don't know. Losing families really sucks. Luckily, most of my family have all been really old. When like my grandma, she's going to be 91 in like 2 or 3 months. She's pretty frail. I mean, she's like all like skin and bone, and you can tell she's old now. But she's been her whole life. She's been active, like doing line dancing and doing this and that. It's like now she's start having to slow down, and she thinks there's something wrong with her. It's like you've been going your whole life. Your body's just like it's starting to get to the point where it's worn out. I mean, my grandpa passed away. I think he was in his 60s or 70s, probably closer. Yeah, he might have been in his 70s when he passed away because it's been a little while since my grandpa died, but he died from cancer. He started off as skin cancer. I think they got that fixed, and then all of a sudden he had a stroke. And that's when I learned what a stroke was. I always thought it was like a heart attack, where it just affects your heart, but I didn't know it would affect your mind. And that's what was weird after the stroke. He was just like he had to be reminded who people were, and I'd show up to go because they lived on a lake, and I was going fishing like almost every other day, if not every day. Get myself a dozen worms, catch 2, 3 pounds of top of the line fish, perch, walleye, crappie, bass, bluegill, catfish. Oh, I loved eating catfish. I'd go out there and take the boat out, and then every time I stopped by my grandma, like, go and say hi to your grandpa. He'd like to see you. And I'd go in. He's in his chair taking a little bit of a nap, and I wake him up. And he'd just act all happy to see me, and he was a bit of a smart ass. Everybody liked him because he was funny. The family members didn't like it because he just didn't know when to stop. But as far as a grandpa, he was cool. He loved his beer. Every fucking family gathering, he drank every day. When I we lived with him for my grandma and grandpa when I was a kid for maybe a few months until my mom after my mom and dad got a divorce. I don't think she had anywhere to go at that point in time. So we would go to my grandma's and stay there, and it was like my grandpa would not come home till 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and my grandma would just be up waiting frantic. And this was like almost every night, and that's when I learned what a functioning alcoholic was. That there's people that can go out there and go to work every fucking day, but as soon as they get off, they're going to the bar and they're getting fucking drunk. They're not going to drink a beer or two and leave. They're going to get shit faced drunk, drive home like it was nothing, make it home, crawl in bed, wake up the next day, do it all over again. It was just it was kind of, and as a kid, I would get nervous too. Like, I wonder where my grandpa is. So it was like growing up, I got to experience a lot of family drama, like some of us has. But I guess the best advice I could give somebody is to spend as much time with your friends and family as you can. They say the best thing, the how to be a good person, you have to learn to forgive and forget. Everything your parents did wrong, you gotta learn to forgive and forget. And I have a hard time doing that shit because there's shit my mom and stepdad. I mean, they raised us right. I did more of a raising myself than my parents ever did having any involvement in my life. I didn't want to go to jail, so I'd kind of never mind. I was an asshole and I was doing shit that would have put me in jail for a long fucking time. I got lucky and didn't get caught up in no bullshit. I kept going in the straight line. I didn't veer off and put myself in a spot where I could have ended up in prison. But there was one or two times where I think something was looking over my shoulder. Shit, I guess I could talk about it. That was 20 years ago. Yeah, it was. Damn, it was longer than that because that happened in 2000. Or no, it was 2001 because that's when 9/11 happened. I was on my way to a campground that I went there every fucking weekend. When I was going there to hang out, I'd go there and spend hundreds of dollars just to get into the place because they'd have like 12, 13 bands, and then money you spend while you're there. I started going there and partying and shit, and I started selling shit like drugs and stuff. Trust me, that was over 20 years ago, so I'm a different person. I was traveling back and forth, from where I live, which is about an hour away from the campground, and on my car, I knew didn't have no driver's license. I didn't have no insurance. The plates I had the wrong stickers. It was the right color, but the wrong sticker. And it was a piece of shit. The car was falling apart, but I was on my way out there, and I stop in and get me something to eat at McDonald's. I basically leave McDonald's. I'm eating a sandwich, and I go to eat the second sandwich. I'm taking a bite, and I look up my rearview mirror, and there's a cop. Probably 3 feet from my bumper. I about choked. I was like, "Oh shit!" I said, "I'm fucking done." And he keeps following real close, and I'm like, I stop eating. I'm like, I'm done. I'm fucking done. This dude's gonna bust my ass. And I said, if I turn right and this dude turns right, I'm going to jail because I have too many things on me that I shouldn't have. So it's like all of a sudden it's whoop whoop whoop. I'm like, here we go. I'm done. So I pull off on this side road. My backpack, I got some mushrooms in there. I got some acid. I got fucking 3 different kinds of weed. Like two different. I had 3 different glass pipes. I had all kinds of shit. Stuff in different bags that would have got me for trafficking. So I'm like, he pulls me over, and I'm sitting there. And I'm like, well, if I reach for my backpack, I'm just gonna draw more attention. I said, so I'm just gonna say, fuck it. I'm gonna deal with the consequences. I said, this is because I'm a dumbass. I'm driving up here on no insurance, and I should have known better. I'm like, I knew something like this would happen. I said, fuck. I was mad at myself. So then I go and just sitting there, and he comes up to my window, and he's like, hey, how you doing? He's like, Keith, it's Keith, right? I'm like, yeah, it's Keith. And he's like, oh, all right, buddy. I got a couple questions. He goes, what's up with that sticker on your license plate? I'm like, I sigh. I'm like, it was from a boat on our property, which it was. There was a boat somebody parked on our property. On the trailer, it had the same color sticker, and my dumbass had the bright idea that I'll swap that and it would draw less attention to it. So he's questioning me, and he's like, do you got a driver's license? I'm like, no. And he's like, you got insurance? I'm like, no. And he just shakes his head. He's like, oh, bud. And I'm like, he's like, yeah, I know. I hate to be a prick, but I'm gonna have to ask you to get out, because you don't have any really a right to be on the road. And I make up a lie. I said the only reason why I'm on the road is because my sister had a kid. She's getting ready to go out of state, and I'll probably never get to see the kids. So there was a family gathering going on I wanted to go to, so I risked it. I said, I'm fucking sorry. And I was just acting like that. And he's like, oh, damn. He's like, I'm sorry, bro. And he's like, I'm so sorry. He kept apologizing. I'm like, it's all right, dude. I'm sitting here, and he's like, well, I'm gonna have to ask you to sit in the front of my car. I'm gonna have to go. I have to look through your car and stuff. And he goes, "Is there anything in there I should know about?" And he jokes around, and says like guns, hand grenades, knives. He's chuckling. I said, "It's all in the backpack." And he goes, "It's all in the backpack." And I'm like, "Yeah, everything's in the backpack." He's like, "All right." And he's like, so he goes up there and he takes my backpack out of the trunk. I'm just watching him do everything, and I was gonna start saying to myself, "I'm fucked, man. I'm fucked. Damn, I should never did this." I knew they kept microphones and shit in them cars, so I just kept my mouth shut. I was watching him, and he goes in the front pouch where I had the shitty weed, and it was like a shitty pipe that I used just to smoke that pot with. He takes that out, and he takes and puts the backpack on the ground. He don't look in the big bag itself. He just looked in that front pouch, and I think he thought when I said it's all in the backpack that's what I was talking about. So he sits on the ground. He starts going through everything else. I'm just looking at that backpack. I'm like, oh fuck. I'm like, am I gonna? And he's like looking at everything, and then he just comes back to the car and he goes, "All right, buddy. I'm gonna just have you at. I guess just grab your backpack, grab your food." And he goes, and just grab your fireworks. He goes, "I'm just gonna have to take you back to the station. I gotta go on another call." I'm like, fuck. So I get in the car, and then I started thinking, I go back to the station. They're gonna look through the rest of that backpack. I said, there's no way they're just going to let me walk in and sit there in the waiting room. They're going to put me in a fucking jail cell. So all of a sudden he gets on the call, and then he gets on the radio and he's talking to him, and he looks at me. He goes, "If I drop you off at this rest area here, can you find a ride home?" I said, "Yeah, I can find a ride home." So he drops me off with fireworks, my backpack full of fucking drugs, and my McDonald's shit that I bought. And he drives off, and it was before I had cell phones, so I ran across the street to a fast food place, used their number, their phone. I called my grandma and grandpa. I'm like, "Look, man, I'm up in Ravenna. I was on the way to go camping for the weekend." I said, I went outside, I came in, and I forget, I made up some bullshit lie about how my car got like towed, and I'm stuck up here in Ravenna. They said they'll come and get me, and just hang on, just give them a minute. And back then, like I said, there was no cell phones. I couldn't give them directions. I just told them where I was at. And my grandpa's like, "Yeah, I know where that is." So they leave and they're coming up there, and they should come over, but they don't go to the rest area. They go to the Hardy's place that I called from, and I just out of like I was waiting over there. I'm like, I'm gonna call them real quick and make sure that they didn't get lost or something. And I walk over and I see my grandma and grandpa in their car, and as I'm crossing the street, I see that cop come back by, and he stops and he looks at me, and I walk down to my grandma and grandpa's, and I get in their car and we take off. And got home and I had thousands of dollars worth of drugs still in my backpack. Shit that would have put me in prison for a long fucking time. And that's why I realized maybe I had a angel lifting over my shoulder, and it was a wake up call. Like, you need to quit doing what you're doing, or you're gonna get yourself in some trouble. This is your wake up call. If you don't listen now, the next time it's on you. So I just kind of listened to my little guardian angel, and I was like, I'm not doing that shit ever again. So that's I've had little things like that happen in life that kind of like just makes me wonder if we all got a little bit of a little angel looking over our shoulder at times. Just we got to choose to listen to it or not. But I'm not going to continue to talk everybody's ear off. Shit, my ass is just fucking just chilling. I need to get to work and get all some firewood together for the night. I'm making spaghetti. I didn't even have to stop at the store to get meat or nothing. I get this really good spaghetti sauce, and I mean, how hard is that to boil some fucking water and put the spaghetti sauce in there and eat it like that? Pretty easy. Easy cheesy. Oh, I should have brought some Parmesan cheese. I could walk and get that. That's the funny part. I could walk to the grocery store and get that shit, but I don't feel like walking a half hour to 45 minutes back through all the shit I already walked to get here. That's why I dread leaving here. It's like, yeah, I gotta walk through all that shit. Take a half hour, 45 minutes. Real bad when it's really, really raining and shit. Or super bad, it takes about an hour to get to my spot. And that's a long time to walk to get to your spot carrying probably, I'd say, 40, 50 pounds worth of gear. Yeah, probably about 40 or 50 pounds because a gallon of milk weighs 8 pounds. And I guarantee I got 2 or 3 gallons of milk in each hand. And that's right there just in my, that. And then my backpack's full of shit, completely full, and weighs just as much as what I'm carrying. So I might be closer to 50 or 60 pounds worth of fucking shit. It's a lot of stuff to carry. So shit, Kevin, you got a nice little spot. That's cool. You don't. It looks like you don't have to go real far to get there. You can set that place up the way you want it, and looks nice. Nice setup, bro. Even if you're still listening, I don't know. I probably talked to your ass off. You got bored and went and did something else, but it's all good. Sometimes I just get to rapping. People get to learn who I really am and understand what type of person I am. I don't put on no front shit. I watch enough YouTubers that are so fake and just sell themselves out for clicks and views and likes, and I can't bring myself to that desperation. I don't put stuff on YouTube out of desperation. I want people to watch my content so I feel like I exist. I don't need to feel like that. Why is there blood crawling down my back? Get out of here. What the fuck it was. Alright, everybody, I'm about to go get my firewood for the night. It's probably getting close to 1 o'clock, and I haven't did anything except set up my shelter. So I guess to get back to work, y'all. You guys tuned in for my live. I want to say thanks. I appreciate the likes, the comments, the views, the everything. I enjoy putting content on here, and as long as you guys enjoy watching, I'll continue doing it. But until later on, when I can sit down for a minute. It'll probably be later on the night around 9. I don't know what time zone everybody else is in, but I'll go live tonight around 9ish. And if you guys want to hang out, stop on by. Love, peace, and grease. Peace out.